It's Deadpool week, and if you're like us, and you should be, you're watching Deadpool and Deadpool 2 this week to prep for Deadpool and Wolverine opening July 26th.
And just for this movie, we have done and very easy to digest countdown to 3, Deadpool.
So we talked Deadpool on the last episode. This week, Deadpool 2 as we move through all the Marvel Deadpool movies.
But not
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I mean, I hope we do talk about that because technically I've got some things to say.
All right, Sean, we already did talk about it, but now you're late to the partiness means we have to talk about it again?
Let me tell you something. We have to talk about it again.
Okay, do it. Right now, go.
Okay, I'll say this. I kind of liked it.
Okay.
Oh, see.
I mean, I did.
We rewatched it and then realized, this isn't good. Watch it again.
It's not great, but I don't think it's terrible. You guys painted it like it's terrible. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was good. And there's some interesting thing. Did you know Richard Donner is an EP on that?
I was unaware of that.
No.
Come on. Which, by the way, explains the feel, I think, of why it feels like an older superhero movie.
80s movie?
Yeah, because it's like, this is exactly why. Oh. But I think there was some really good stuff in there.
Deadpool wasn't one of those things.
No,
right?
No, not at all.
No, I thought that was
interesting.
interesting.
You sew the mouth shut of the merc with the mouth.
That part I didn't agree with. But let me tell you, it doesn't even matter because this movie takes care of that.
Well, it's true.
Well, listen, there's nothing bad that we can say about X-Men Origins Wolverine that the Deadpool movies don't already say for us.
I think that's safe. Anyway, we'll save that for the rest.
Yes.
But let's get on to Deadpool 2 because that is a fantastic rewatch. A lot of things happened as if it's the first time seeing them. I knew I saw this movie, but boy, did everything feel like, okay, this is new. I missed this before. I missed most of the movie before, apparently.
So many brand new laughs. I was like, don't remember this, don't remember this, don't remember this. Laugh out loud moments.
Let me just share that for me, it was the first time seeing this. And not only did I love it, I was literally sitting there watching the movie going, I love this franchise.
Yeah.
I love, because the first one for me, when we talked about it, I think I had seen it, and then I was like, I saw this, and then I watched it again. I was like, this is really good. Deadpool 2, I was like, this is awesome. I'm totally in. They do such a great, we're going to get into all the details, but they do such a great job of balancing just everything from breaking the fourth wall to the comedy to the action. Yeah. I was telling my wife even, I'm like, because we've talked about The Boys a lot and how gratuitous that violence is.
Yeah.
But there's no ha-ha with The Boys, right? Somebody just, their head explodes and that's all you get is their head exploding and then trauma for at least 2 nights, right? But with Deadpool, it's like people getting sliced up and then a nice quip.
Or it's Deadpool getting sliced up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all of that, to me, is what makes this even more amazing. Now, right now, our audience is hearing an airplane.
Yes.
And this is apropos. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to say it. This is
if you're going to talk about airplanes, then yes.
Okay, great. All right, this is apropos because I just got back from a trip where I was stuck in the airport and I was stuck on a plane and all of the Microsoft stuff. And then I'm on a plane, I'm stuck. And I downloaded Deadpool 2 because I knew we were going to be watching. I didn't know what was going to happen with my travel, so I'm like, I better watch this. And I'm going through all this. I'd been at the airport all day, all these people around me, definitely miserable. And I'm sitting there watching Deadpool 2, and I'm laughing out loud. And I'm pretty sure that everybody around me hated me. Yeah. But man,
IT outage jerk.
I was just having the greatest time because of this film. So I'm a huge fan. And I'm excited. I'm even more excited about Deadpool 3 than I was when we started this. I was like, this will be fun. Now I'm like, yes, bring it on. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about this film. And in rewatching Deadpool, like I said, the only joke that I remembered was the reference to Thanos. And that was it. That's literally the only joke in that entire film that was like, I heard that one before. But all the rest were brand new.
Yeah.
So great.
I remember the baby legs, but that's about all I remember.
I had forgotten the baby legs.
That stuck with me.
That's a level of disturbing.
Yeah,
the baby legs.
Well, let's get on to the show proper because we should introduce ourselves. My name is Paul Preston of the Movie Guys.
I'm Sean Blodgett of Creative Motion Entertainment,
and I'm Justin Bowler of The World.
You know, I did that once with Arrested Development. I was on a plane watching, and they did one of the deepest cut jokes of all time, where they had a reality show with Judge Reinhold. It was a courtroom show called Judge Reinhold, but it got canceled and replaced by Bud Court. And I just about fell off her lap. I went, bah! Like, it really was disrupting the plane. So I understand how you can have everyone around you hate you.
There is nothing worse though than when you're like trying to enjoy a movie on the plane and they're like, and they like go on and on. You're like,
Please be
shut it.
Yeah.
I don't want to apply for a credit card.
All right, but I had to go back and address that laughing on the plane thing. But
Yes.
you mentioned it a couple times now already. Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this very weekend. So tell us everything that's new with the movie on the heels of its opening. Justin?
All right, there is a ton of updates. First off, press tour has been entertaining as hell. I don't know if you're following either Hugh Jackman or Van City Reynolds on Instagram or any of the other socials, but there's some fantastic stuff in there. I'm telling you to check it out. He specifically said, how is this a job? Because they're having so much fun. They're screwing around so much. They were early on. They were over in Shanghai and Seoul, which actually bodes quite well for overseas. And it's same-day release worldwide, as I recall, right?
Is it really?
I believe it is.
Movies
Wow.
today not even opening over there. I
Right.
don't get that.
And
No.
did you say last time they're definitely not releasing it on streaming early on? Like they're not announcing that?
I did not say that, but I will.
Okay.
But I will say I will point to Inside Out 2 as proof that if you don't say your movie's coming out on streaming in 3
Right.
weeks, you will earn $1.2 billion if your movie is good.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly. What else we got? According to CNN, highlights of their adventure include giant blow-up dolls, an impromptu baseball game, meeting a K-pop boy band, and an epic water gunfight in front of a massive crowd. Also, don't know if you saw this, they actually hosted, they took over Good Morning America this morning. Yeah, they took over as the
They're
anchor.
they're hosting Jimmy Kimmel. Is that this week too?
Oh,
I know they're
maybe.
supposed to do that,
Maybe.
or one of them is supposed to.
Good for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, good for
If
them.
you've seen any of this stuff, they are having a blast.
Yeah.
Being with each other, talking about the movie, not talking about the movie, they're having
Yeah.
a fantastic
Well, you know when a
time.
guy is done, like
Yeah.
Jackman's like, I'm done. But what if this is how you come back?
Yes.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Final trailer was just released. A giant 20th Century Fox logo out in the desert. Was that Toad that we saw?
I
Don't
thought
know.
I saw Toad.
Some Roadrunner stuff.
Road Warrior stuff.
Warrior.
Roadrunner. It's definitely
Deadpool
Roadrunner.
But do
paints
not
it.
count out Roadrunner.
Don't count
I
out
mean, right?
Deadpool painting a big tunnel on a rock. Yeah.
We've got a Wolverine, we've got a Coyote, and they're both going after the Roadrunner.
That's so
I
brilliant.
mean, a ton of stuff in that. Lady Deadpool, a fun Bachelorette featurette, which is also spectacular if you've seen that, focusing on Hugh Jackman's backside. The new Xbox controller, the cheeky controller, which is just, I mean, it's absurd. It's actually not just the controller; it's actually a skin for the Xbox 360 for the Xbox Series S. I mean, there's so much fun stuff. I'm Jack in the Box.
You're basically holding an
Carl's
ass.
Jr. Yeah, I mean, come
my
on,
God.
it's getting
brilliant.
crazy.
It's brilliant.
Madonna's Like a Prayer appears in the film, even though the song isn't normally licensed. They got permission. They had to show her. This is what they did. This was crazy. Okay, so they got permission. They didn't have permission. They wanted to go talk to her. So Levy and Reynolds and Jackman go over there. Ryan Reynolds literally called ahead of time and said, "What do I need to wear? Is there a dress code that I'm supposed to wear? Furthermore,
Cone boobs.
am I allowed to call her Madonna? Is there a surname in front of this that I'm supposed to?"
That's interesting.
Lady
yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Went over there. I mean, she named her child Lourdes, so a fair question.
Yeah.
Fair question. They go over there. They show her the scene. She actually approves of how the song is used in the scene and then proceeds to give Sean Levy a note about, "I think you ought to do this," which he went back and recut into the film, actually accepted the note, which was fantastic.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, so that's in it. What else we got? Okay. A costumer recently said this. I don't know if I believe this. Okay. Costumer for the
I know
film
people who would have done this. Go ahead.
recently said grown men on the set were actually sobbing at the sight of Hugh Jackman in the yellow and blue costume. Okay. I'm going to call BS on this. I don't think this happened.
I am not.
You hear about it, okay, it happened. It was just like, the first time we saw, on set when they saw Michael Keaton as Batman, people were like, "Oh my God, that's really Batman. This is my childhood coming to life." I don't know. People going to sob over the cartoon version of Wolverine coming to life?
Well, X-Men came out 2000, right? So we've just had a run on, everybody in black as we called it on the movie guys, wearing black basketball.
Okay.
Right? He, like, think of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Well, his suit
We'll cut
was
that
made of
part. No.
basketball.
Okay. All right.
Red and blue basketball.
Black basketball material.
Oh,
Okay.
got
Right.
it. Okay.
You couldn't reflect the
I
color.
was, yeah.
I don't know if I want to go on this
2
train.
years. 2 years later, I think, right, 2002, is that when Spider-Man came out? Like, Sam Raimi had the guts to have a scene in the blue sky daytime between a green goblin and a red and blue Spider-Man bouncing around different colored balloons in New York City. And so the people went, whoa, we can be colorful. So I think the long 24-year road from everyone in the X-Men wearing black to somehow being the colors of the X-Men animated series in the comic books, if you're the right guy or Adam Witt of the movie guys, you're crying at that sight.
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, there's been a lot of brouhaha online about this suit and about whether or not we're going to also see him wear the mask.
Cowl.
Yeah. What are your feelings on that? Do you think we need to
I
see that?
welcome
Do you
it.
want to see it? Like, do you care?
We're going to see it at one point, but more than... Here's the thing. You don't take a good-looking guy like Hugh Jackman and cover him up. Okay.
Yeah.
See Spider-Man 2 when Toby had the mask off half
Yes.
the movie after the first
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see it, I think, but we're not going to see it a whole lot.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one. And when it comes on, there'll be a joke about it.
Right,
It won't just
exactly.
be like,
It'll
oh,
absolutely be a
we
joke.
finally... Because someone also, the first shot of Deadpool and Wolverine, and you've got to see him in the yellow and blue
Right.
that was released. People were fixing it by
Yes,
shrinking
yes.
him down and making him make Jackman the right stout sort of buff
Exactly.
size. But it's been a minute since the last Deadpool movie. 6 years, but only 2 years passed between the first Deadpool and the second one because people were all about Deadpool. And sure enough, it grossed more than the original. So let's talk about why Deadpool 2 was so great. For me, I saw it in the theater, but as I mentioned, I don't remember much of it. So that's what made this rewatch so outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, for
I remember I liked it. There are movies I don't remember.
Right.
that I
Right,
just
right.
like that on purpose.
Well, for me, obviously, I didn't see it, and I just right out of the gate. You know what? 20th Century Fox, right? They released this.
Just before the merger.
Yeah. So I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, how many movies from my childhood, and of course the Star Wars films in
Have
particular,
that logo.
have that bum bum,
Yeah.
bum bum, brrr, bum bum, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, that march.
Yeah.
For me, it's almost like this visceral, like, oh, I'm so in for a good time.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so in for a good
Yeah.
time, and I'm so excited right now. So I don't know. It was funny right out of the gate. I heard that and I went, oh, this is gonna be great.
So this was the 11th Deadpool 2, the 11th X-Men movie. So we talked about them starting in 2000. By 2018, we have 11 of them.
Wow.
Because they're always branching off into, they're not all with the original
Well,
canon.
it's because of all the X-Men Origins movies that they made.
That's right.
Which would have been good.
Could you tell me the X-Men movies that came out between Deadpool and Deadpool 2? One should be easy.
X-Men
Apocalypse.
First Class.
That's correct. Apocalypse is correct.
Damn it.
That's not the easy one.
Apocalypse.
Phoenix.
Is unwatchable.
No, they were shooting Phoenix while they were shooting Deadpool 2.
I didn't see Phoenix, by the way. That's one I haven't seen.
You know why you have your X-Men cameo in this? Because they were shooting Dark Phoenix in Montreal,
there
and
you
they
go.
got them all in a room and shot the thing where they shut the door on them, and then they
That
put
is-
it in there with a green screen. Hilarious
It's
cameo.
funny. It was a great cameo, but also even as they did it, I went, it's so quick. It made me wonder if those were doubles and not really them. But
Yeah,
it was really
but it was
them.
really
Yeah.
them.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not all of them. But I think, but
I want to say, too, one of the things I really like about this movie is that it's an X-Men movie. Like, I didn't really put that together when we were, talking about all this. Like, oh, yeah, Deadpool, it's like its own thing, kind of.
Well,
and I know
yeah.
he's in, okay, yeah. But now that I'm watching him, I'm like, oh, this is an X-Men movie.
Yeah,
in
like,
training.
Like, yeah.
In training. Exactly.
your other movie is an easy one. The Logan came out, obviously, between these two, because it starts with Logan impaled on the rock in a little
Right.
a little jewelry box.
Which,
thing.
now, I haven't seen that, and I would like to see that before.
Wait, what?
Deadpool 2 opens up with a little thing with
Oh, yes.
little jewelry box or whatever it is.
and that's a nod to Logan.
that he just died. Yeah,
Oh,
and the
okay.
poster which said from the studio that killed Wolverine.
Okay. A little slow on the uptake.
Yeah.
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 No,
he
that's-
died since the first movie, and
Yeah.
now, of course, they got to goof all over that.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
So much action again, right out of the gate. I mean, seeing him be a badass.
Oh,
And I mean, and
100%.
again, you know, all the funny, all the voiceover, all that stuff.
I will tell you, it's interesting. Okay, so what was it? 67 million for our first movie?
58.
58.
Yeah, even less.
Originally it was 67, and then they brought it down 9. They said, yeah, we're going to cut some. So 58 million is how much they were able to spend on the first one. In this second one, how much money do they have? They have enough money that in our opening sequence, we're going to do a 4-minute shot where fighting is going on non-stop. It's a follow shot, for
Yeah,
crying out loud,
yeah.
with guys being lit on fire in
Yeah,
the background,
right.
getting impaled.
That sequence is wild.
There's 40 people in that thing. Yeah, we're going to spend some money on this opening sequence in case anyone's wondering.
110 million, which is a risk because, you know, immediately to jump to spend more, it's like, well, I hope you make it back. And they, of course, this one made
yeah.
more than the first. Only like
Exactly.
3 or 4 million more, but more.
And part of that budget, music. And I'm not talking score.
absolutely.
Oh my God, the amount of songs that they had to license for this film.
Yeah.
I mean,
In Your Eyes,
but
Tomorrow.
also, okay, this is one question I did want to ask you guys because I don't know the answer, and you may. What was the first film that showed an action sequence set against a kind of popish, kind of lighthearted piece of music like they do in this? I mean, he's got Dolly Parton at one point,
Right.
for God's sakes. You know, I mean, so what was the first film that actually did that?
Where
Like
there was
cinematically,
such a
because
huge
I hope you're not
juxtaposition.
searching, and I hope this is trivia because I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
no, I don't. No, I am
Damn it.
searching. I wish I did know because
Was Reservoir Dogs before,
It was 92.
okay,
Yeah.
Stuck in the Middle with You while
Yeah.
we sawing off the ear.
okay,
American Psycho?
okay.
When was
what?
American
Oh my
Psycho?
God! Does that mean that Quentin
90s, also
Tarantino?
90s.
Square?
Quentin Tarantino is the originator of
can't-
that kind of concept, like this lighthearted music
Okay.
and a horrifying image.
I mean, it's Akira Kurosawa. In Ron,
Probably.
he had like real mellow classical music playing while horses were trampling people in a giant battleground thing.
Or
I mean,
Row Your Boat.
Well, I mean, I know they have there's the Godfather thing too, and
Director
stuff.
Scott.
There's the Godfather thing too, and stuff like that. But I'm talking about. To me, that's still score,
Yeah.
and that's playing an opposite. And I guess this is really similar to that. But the idea of taking a pop song
Yeah.
and literally showing horrifying images, and then
What year was American Psycho?
I can't remember. 90s.
Okay.
Anyway, another nod to this film because of that, because I think the use of that is absolutely
Well,
brilliant.
I forgot that scene to talk about is incredible. That scene where he takes out like 10 gangsters. It leads,
Oh, yeah.
of course, to letting one get away, and we get to the horrible top of the show. But this movie has like the prisoner transfer sequence is a scene most movies would love for their finale.
Yeah.
And it's only halfway through.
Right.
You know, but this is what
It's
Marvel
so-
does all the time. I know this isn't Marvel MCU Marvel, but think about like Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Berlin airport fight is
Right.
not the end of that movie.
No.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's funny, you mentioned that because I happened to, of course, I was on the plane. I had to keep pausing because they're coming on, whatever. And when that sequence, and I kind of looked down, I was like, oh, I still have a bunch more on this film. I'm so excited right now. By the way, before we go too far into this film, I want to mention another thing about Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. Just a quick little story. I did.
Is it about origins?
Well, no, it's not.
Okay, keep going.
It's just about him playing Wolverine. So I recently finished Patrick Stewart's autobiography, which I really enjoyed. But there's a story in there about, of course, him doing the X-Men movies and stuff like that. So originally there was another actor cast as Wolverine, which I didn't even know.
You going to mention his name, or shall I?
Go ahead.
It's Doug Ray Scott. He ended
Okay.
up playing the villain in Mission Impossible 2, which is why I believe he was unavailable.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a conflict. Hugh Jackman came on for a casting session. Literally came in to audition. Happened to see Patrick Stewart and a couple of the other guys. They all chatted him up. They were like, "Oh, this guy's so nice," and he was really friendly. And they asked him what he was doing there. He's like, "Oh, I'm auditioning for this Wolverine character or whatever." And they were like, "Okay, good luck. Go." He goes off and does I think he had a screen test or something.
Yeah.
He comes back after the screen test and he's like, "Well, that didn't go so well, guys. So, it was really nice meeting you all. Thank you so much." Starts to walk away. One of the producer's assistants comes running in and is like, "Hey, man, you got the role. We need you to go straight." He went straight
to
to costuming and makeup and
Holy
like literally. So, boom, and that's how amazing Hugh Jackman is. So
His screen tests were on the original DVD for X-Men. You can watch his screen test. It was interesting.
nice.
I'm trying to remember. There were two scenes. I think one might have been the bar scene, the opening sequence that he has.
Yeah.
And then the other scene is him with Rogue as he's it's setting up the father figure relationship with her. It's interesting because you get to see two takes, and you can see Bryan Singer say not quite so soft, because he really softens up to her as he's supposed to be while they're supposed to be in the car together, and then you come back and it's like he gives a little bit of direction, and the direction he gives is what you end up seeing in the car, in the movie, in the car. Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, the interesting, I think all the talk was Russell Crowe would have been the guy for Wolverine.
Right.
And now you see the sense of humor he has in the movie. It might have been pretty good.
He would have been great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. At the same time, I love me some Russell Crowe, but the guy admits right off the bat he's got a temper. And as a person, I like Hugh Jackman eons better.
Yeah, I mean, look, anybody who can play Wolverine and that passion, that raw energy, and then go do The Greatest Showman.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean,
he did Les
prior
Mis.
to this,
and Les Mis, yes,
prior
yes.
to this,
Well, no,
he was
Crowe did Les Mis.
In Australia, prior to this, he did the national tour of Beauty and the Beast, and he was Gaston.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, this guy, right? Come on.
Really, you know what? Gaston to Wolverine tracks.
Right.
Well, John Hamm was, I think, originally tossed around for Steve Rogers. You know, the early thoughts.
John
Jim Carrey
Hamm.
for Peter Parker.
Right.
You know, all these early.
Jim Carrey for Peter Parker.
Yeah, in a defunct James Cameron Spider-Man movie, which would have been interesting.
Yeah.
That never got past ideas.
Interesting.
But as for this one, we obviously Ryan Reynolds, after going around Hollywood and people not knowing what to do with him, this role is made for him. He even gets in on the writing. Now he had a lot to do, I think, with the writing in the first one.
I'm sure.
Now he's on record. And the studio is now paying Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick to be on set, whereas before Reynolds had to pay them to be on set, so they can come up with all the bits.
Right.
And I can only imagine the writing session for this. Like, is it all rewriting? Because you write the plot, then you go, where can we put a joke? Here's a good place. All right, let me rewrite again. Oh, we got room for a joke here. Oh,
right.
And so it's just like, I think they don't let any moment of the plot pass without a joke.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
I almost feel like there was a part of that. I mean, I don't know what their process was at all, but there's a part of me that says they sat down and went, "Here's the fight scene. Who's gonna, this guy's gonna kick that guy's butt. That guy goes over there. And, all right, now let's go back and just throw in jokes. Let's just write a monologue of jokes. You know what I mean?
I have no proof of this, but I think it's the rewrites where all the magic happens, because you can set in motion what you want your characters to do.
Right.
I think they go back and find room, even on the set. You know,
Right.
wait, come here. Do you think we could do this thing real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Do you think we could say? We think we'd call him One-Eyed Willie here because Goonies.
Oh my
reference
God!
off the
Can
chart.
I just tell you, I'm a huge Goonies fan, and I loved that reference. The other thing that's hilarious to me is the fact that Josh Brolin is huge, and I'm like, did this start during Goonies? Because he played the guy that was working out.
Yeah. We were just looking up. He would have been 49, 50 while shooting this.
Wow.
I mean, and the guy looks fantastic. Once again, the only other guy on the planet who looks that good at that age with his shirt off is Hugh Jackman.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just insane.
Okay, one thing I do want to say as a sort of critique is, in all these movies, in the bigness of Hollywood, there's a club. There's a club of people that get all of these roles,
right.
And at some point they keep getting them, right? Tom Hanks and whatever, and look, all of these folks are great.
Cruise, Gibson,
yes,
Ford, Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock.
I would not say that any of them are bad. They're all fantastic. They're all at the top of their game. They're amazing. But there's a part of me that sometimes just longs to see someone fresh come in, and just nail something and surprise us, and for the character that Josh Brolin played, I thought, man, it would have been nice for this to go to somebody else because he's Thanos.
It is interesting,
and
double
so
casting in the world
and I was kind of like, come on,
and
really?
Was he the first to double dip?
Chris Evans. Yeah, as the Human Torch and Captain
right, but
America.
I'm talking DC versus Marvel.
What? No,
those are both Marvel. Both actors are both Marvel.
I see. You're saying, wait, who?
Oh, DC
who
and Marvel.
Yeah. Wait. What's the cross pollination on that? Who did the?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Who did DC Marvel? Well, I guess Ryan Reynolds, but.
So you weren't saying DC versus Marvel.
No, I'm just saying
within the same universe.
I'm just
he's
saying,
already another
literally, we
character.
just saw him be the
I see what you're saying.
worst
Yeah.
evil person ever, and now he's this character. And
Yeah.
again,
But did we
he's
see
brilliant.
him? Yeah.
Well, that's
You
true.
know,
I mean,
yeah.
but look, he's brilliant in both, and so I'm not mad about any of it. He's awesome. But there was the part of me that went, would have been nice.
Here are your potential cables. Kyle Chandler. Tim Miller wanted him before
Interesting.
he left. Yeah.
Wait, who is it?
Kyle Chandler.
I
don't know
bet,
who that is.
I bet he'd have been great, actually.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
By
Early
the way,
edition.
jumping back to X-Men Wolverine origin, whatever, I have to say I loved Gambit.
I love Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
Gambit was awesome.
That was supposed to be his intro. He was supposed to then get a movie. They were supposed to spin that off.
That was so. I thought
the
that was
movie
so.
died, so they didn't do anything.
He was
Yeah.
so interesting in that. Anyway,
Which I thought was fun.
Yep.
Someone
With
who
the exception of the stupid climbing up the ladder.
okay, I watched that and I didn't hate it as much, and I think it's
it
because
is
you prepared me for
cartoonishly
it.
dumb.
So I did see Wile E. Coyote in the background,
Right.
which was weird.
All it was missing was like a. Interested after the announcement of the production, Dolph Lundgren as Cable. Would have looked good. Don't know if he could pull off the gravitas.
I mean,
No.
here, you know what? Okay, that's interesting. I don't think he'd have done a bad job at all.
Yeah,
In any
yeah.
way, shape, or form, it wouldn't have been. I think it would have been a little more forgettable. But I'm also going to say, I don't think it would have affected how good this movie was, at all.
Well-
I think I still would have loved it just as much as I loved it.
Especially, you give him that like 5 o'clock shadow, make him
Yeah.
look messed up, give him the whole thing. I think he would have been fine.
And then they'd have started throwing in jokes between Colossus and Cable.
Yeah, yeah.
Michael Shannon.
Don't know who that
A little
is.
too crazy. General Zod.
Yeah, General Zod.
Oh,
He
General
was also in
Zod.
Boardwalk Empire.
He would have been fine. He would have been fine.
That's too much gravitas.
David Harbour.
Don't know
David
who that
Harbour
is.
would have been good.
Who's that?
I think so too. He's on Stranger Things. He's Red. What's his character's name in the Black Widow?
Yeah, red guy.
Red Commie. Or
Yep.
something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Red Guardian. There it is.
Yep.
Red Commie #1.
Yeah. And then the rumor of Pierce Brosnan. I don't know how far that got, but I don't know if that would have worked. But then again, his older years, he looks a little beat up, kind of like
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Josh Brolin.
I mean, he wouldn't have been so buff, but
it would have been.
he
it
would have been a
very
different. But if you play up the whole like mechanical body part, whatever, like,
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Other casting stuff, of course, I didn't notice till I read about it. When Cable arrives and the two rednecks are talking about how they wipe.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
The
yeah.
manifesto
Yeah.
on wiping.
Yep.
Alan Tudyk and
Uh-huh.
Matt Damon.
That's Matt Damon.
Matt Damon does most of the talking with the mullet and the gut.
All I could focus on was Alan Tudyk. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was
Wait,
like,
it's
that's
Matt.
Alan
The
Tudyk.
other guy's Matt Damon.
No,
And
really?
I didn't. I'm gonna go back and watch it now.
It's a single shot that
Yeah.
entire time. How did I not see that was Matt
Oh my
Damon?
God, I love it so much.
He not only had the makeup in the gut, but facial prosthetics to also make you know it wasn't
Okay,
him.
because
And a die and
Alan
an
Tudyk,
accent.
it's Alan
yeah.
Tudyk all day. But I was like,
And because they never stop goofing. In the credits, he's listed as Dickie Greenleaf, who is Jude Law's character from The Talented Mr. Ripley. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. Yet they did it.
Okay, in general, the credits, I mean, the opening credits are just hilarious. And I have to say, I'm a little amazed they were able to get away with it.
Yeah.
Because this is why George Lucas quit all of the unions, was because he was like almost eviscerated for not putting opening credits on Star Wars. And he was like, this is how I want to start my movie.
Yeah.
And they were like, I think he got fined on the first one. And then most people don't even know that the other two movies are non-union. So I mean, well, I don't know about
Yeah.
Empire, but I do know Return of the Jedi was non-union. But yeah.
Practically self-funded, that's for sure.
And by the way, so were all the prequels, all non-union, which is why what's his
Hayden
name?
Christensen was cast.
I think
Sorry,
he's awesome.
Hayden,
I
if
think
you're
he's
watching
awesome. That's messed. No, I was gonna say Gary. I think it was Gary Sinise. No, not Gary Sinise.
He's not in the prequels.
Who
Gary
played?
said,
Who played the commissioner in The Dark Knight?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Oldman was supposed to be General Grievous.
and they went with a CGI character, or he
Right.
was supposed to
I don't
voice
know.
him?
I have
He was
no
supposed to-
idea. All I know is that he was on set, found out it was non-union, and walked off.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
That's
in
the
Deadpool.
story.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Got to get our Star Wars in.
Right.
Reynolds is the voice and facial capture of Juggernaut. They
is?
just put a lot of modulation on him for him to go, "Oh, I'm gonna shove the red man up the bold man's," like all that stuff.
Didn't know that. Didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Wow.
And I forgot about the great X-Force cameos. Forgot about Terry Crews, Bill
my God.
Skarsgård, Rob Delaney.
I remembered a number of them, but the one that I absolutely remembered, it was the only other second joke in the entire film, was
So
the
do
Brad
I.
Pitt.
Same. That's the one I remember.
I remembered that, and I remembered Thanos. The rest of this film was all brand new to me.
Them coming down with the parachutes and just getting decimated one by I'm like, oh my God, this is horrifying and hilarious.
And Peter, said, there's a breeze or something, a trade wind. Or
yeah,
something.
yeah, they keep nobody. And then she's like, of course, everybody knew. And I love that her power is luck.
Oh my God!
I
And
mean,
the greatest example, just example after example
Yeah.
after example.
Oh my God!
So much fun. Even
So
just
cool.
in the background when they're fighting at the school, even in the background stuff
Yes.
is going right for her. While
Yes.
we're watching, Deadpool up front.
Yeah.
There's stuff that's happening.
The thing
bad guy
falls on the guy and cuts the guy. They're like, what?
Right.
What is it? Yeah.
First it breaks his back, and then a piece comes down and decapitates
Yeah,
him.
it's just like, oh my God, so brilliant. And she's great. She's great.
She is
God.
great.
Yeah.
Possible Dominoes, Lizzie Kaplan. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who bored me to the point where I stopped watching Ahsoka, so I'm glad that didn't happen. Sienna Miller, too serious?
Yeah.
Sophia Boutella?
I don't know who that is.
She was the mummy in the Tom Cruise mummy, but she was in Kingsman with the blade legs.
Okay.
Mackenzie Davis, Aubrey Plaza.
I'm an Aubrey Plaza fan.
I
I
mean-
feel like I think she'd have pulled it off, and I think it would have been fantastic.
Yeah. But
I think she would have been fine, but
didn't need
her comedy is too close to what Ryan Reynolds does with Deadpool. It's
a little
and
too
so
dry
I
and
would be
biting.
too
Yeah.
concerned that they're operating on that same wavelength. It's just too close.
Yeah, I'll
just
give you
too
that.
close.
I'll
I
give
think
you
she's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
I think she's funny.
Yeah, I think Zazie Beetz was the right choice in the end. Kind of like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. You kind of can't go back and think of anybody else
No.
now. Oh, she
Right.
did it, yeah.
And
it was
also
her.
going to your point, not knowing Hugh Jackman and him stepping in as Wolverine was fantastic. Of like, who's this new superstar that we just
Right.
witnessed just now?
Right.
Who's Zazie Beetz? I guess she did a TV show. Most people I've never heard of have done a TV show.
Yeah.
Because there's too much TV.
A lot of TV out there.
Yeah.
But Justin, I have a question for you. Does
Yes.
this movie now? We've gone back and forth about Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, right?
Yes.
Like you think Love and Thunder just has no stakes, right?
Correct.
I
It
think
was too cartoonish for me.
does this have stakes? Deadpool 2?
Oh, such a good question.
I'm
good question.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next question.
Wait, no. I want to jump in on this conversation because I loved this movie, but the ending, I went, I get a little frustrated with time travel stuff because it to me, time travel stuff is like waking up and going, oh my God, it was just a dream, thank God.
Right.
You know, it's very similar to that kind of fix. And
Right.
if we can go back and time travel, I mean, he goes back and time travels and fixes all this stuff. I mean, why not go back even further?
Yeah.
You know,
they cut
I
they
mean,
cut a scene where he does go kill baby Hitler. They cut it. I think they even shot it. Yeah, they cut
Oh my God,
That's hilarious.
that would have been rough. That would have been rough.
My biggest problem with Love and Thunder, and once again, Ragnarok. The rewatchability for Ragnarok is just so high. Like I'm loving these people having to dealing with putting people genre jumping, putting people in new situations and how
Yeah.
do they deal with this, which I absolutely just loved.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Love and Thunder. I'll tell you what I loved about Love and Thunder. I loved everything with Natalie Portman. Because now it's just like, we have this thing. If I stay as Lady Thor, okay, it's going to give me cancer the moment I hand this thing away. And I'm going to die. Those are stakes.
That's real
important.
stakes.
But then we cut to these other cartoonish things that are taking place, and I just go, it just bothers me when it gets too cartoonish. You got to set up for me that this world is cartoonish, and I had not felt that way about that world yet.
I mean, Thor goes pretty far with that.
I hadn't felt that way since Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's it's a fine line that you got to walk, and they just did not pull it off for me. I've seen it twice. The first time I saw it, and I didn't like it, and I'm like, I got to give this movie another chance. And I went back and I watched it again, and the second time I just went, no, I'm just not on board.
You
with
didn't go with the villain's stakes about gods
no,
treating him poorly, and he was going to get his revenge.
100%. I appreciated that. I really did. I appreciated that part of it. I don't know. I guess it was. All of a sudden now, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to gather all these kids together, and these kids are going to face an army, and we're all going to have the kids and Thor beat the bad guys together. It's just like, okay, I'm not here for this. Are we making a Little Rascals movie? You know? Is Paul Giamatti going to fall down at one point and a bunch of water's going to come over him? And, you know.
A big fat liar reference?
That's a big fat liar
know.
reference. It's just like, is that what we're doing? So, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think you got a little goofy on this one, but you bought.
But I buy it. I buy all of Deadpool's training. I buy everyone else's training.
Yeah.
Instantly, we hand the kids, okay, you've got power now, so you know how to defeat the bad guy's army. No, they don't, because they're 9 and they're 10 and they're 11, and when the camera isn't looking at them, they're picking their nose and sticking their finger in their ass.
Not all kids do that.
That's adult stuff, mostly. Justin's talking about that. Speaking of the kids, Negasonic Teenage Warhead's same-sex relationship was the first for the MCU.
Oh, that's interesting.
I loved the girlfriend.
Yes.
Tamiko?
Honestly, I love both of them. They're awesome. They're awesome.
And the juxtaposition every single time, I'm just like, hi,
Yeah.
Just so great. So
Even
great.
in his final exit, he popped
Yes.
that in.
Yeah. Oh,
Brilliant.
So fantastic.
Brilliant.
Loved it.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the ending,
Okay.
the one thing I did love was that not only does he change certain things of the MCU, whatever, the Deadpool universe, he goes and kills himself from watching from reading the Green Lantern. That moment was just so it was just brilliant, and I really respect people that are at a high level that are just willing to go, yeah, that wasn't a good idea.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
No,
I
it's
mean,
fantastic.
and I still stand by the fact that I like Green Lantern as a movie.
Oh, okay. You like giant brown turds in the sky.
Every time.
So
I don't know why I set myself
each
up
got
for
one.
it.
I don't know why we thought you wouldn't like X-Men Origins.
That's funny.
But I always stay through the end credits. You know, I want to see who made the movie, and you never know what's going to happen, and there's interesting stuff in there. But I have no pity for anyone who leaves, missed that,
Yep.
you know, he saves
Yep.
Vanessa.
Right.
And now we'll come into Deadpool 3. Oh, thought she died.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
well,
right.
it's on you, stupid.
Right. That's
Yeah,
right. Yep.
stick around.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like. I mean, you know, ultimately, especially that. I mean, that actress is great. She's awesome in the role. So it's like, you know, and that story.
Monica.
That's
Stop it.
Monica. Yeah.
Morena.
Morena. She's just great in the role, and I'm glad that they kept that story. I was kind of like, because I hadn't seen the movie, so I was, you know, when she died, I was like, oh, she dies? Like,
Yeah.
what?
And they have to immediately deflate it with all the funny credits.
Yes.
You know, they can't
Yeah.
just live in the pain.
Yeah.
They have to, like, go, did that just happen? What the?
Yeah. I mean, that, again, the fact that this franchise allows itself to comment on itself
Right.
opens it up to story things that if they weren't able to comment on the fact that they did a time travel thing and all this stuff, that I think it wouldn't have worked as well.
Right.
I do think it works. I still sort of have my issues with the time travel thing sometimes, but you know, again, for this and for what this world is, I mean, I love this movie.
They used literally they used the tactic that they talk about in Thank You for Smoking, where they talk about smoking in space because they want to have the cigarettes as a sponsor of a movie.
Right.
Okay, and they're like,
Right.
but yeah, you know, in an all-oxygenated environment, once you lit up a smoke, wouldn't it explode the spaceship? Oh no, we just throw in a line about thank God we got the so-and-so because we can smoke in space. One line.
Yeah.
Here, all Deadpool has to do is turn to the camera and say, well, that's just lazy writing. And
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
We're moving past it.
Yeah.
We're okay
We've
with
already
it.
we've already
Big
accepted
CGI
it.
fight.
Oh my God! When that moment came, I was like, "That's just funny.
Yeah.
That's just funny. Brilliant stuff."
Yeah.
But going back
Brilliant stuff.
to the opening credits, here's something I didn't know. I love the James Bond spoof at the
Yes.
top.
Oh my gosh.
That's
so
a
great.
new Celine Dion song.
Yes. Yeah.
was unaware of
For
this.
music, they
What?
they approached her to be like, listen, we got this great song. What are the chances? And
How did I never
they
hear of
also
that?
said, we got a shitload of money.
Right.
So yeah, they wanted to get
Wow.
nominated for an Academy Award. Like they were pushing for that song.
Oh
to
my
be
God,
nominated.
that he actually
Ashes.
says that at one
Yeah.
point. I hope the members of the Academy are watching. When he's, I think it was when he's dying.
He's
He
dying,
says it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Love that.
Along those lines, there is also such an understated, which I know I didn't catch the first time around. They have an imitation Kamina Burana in the middle of the fight sequence.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
It's like you hire a guy to go out. I need a sound alike for Kamina Burana, but I want you to say
I don't know
instead
who
of
that is.
ha 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 boom boom oh, and they say holy shit balls
Yeah.
boom boom holy shit balls. Like I'm listening to it, I'm like I know I didn't hear that before, and
Oh
I'm
my
sitting
God.
there dying once
Oh my
again.
God.
Oh my God.
Your first, I believe it was your first score with a parental advisory warning.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wow.
It was.
Oh, wow.
Because of that very
Because of that
very
song.
thing.
Interesting.
Holy shit balls! Like it's just too
Oh
funny.
my God, brilliant.
Oh, so then I watched last night and hadn't seen it since 2018. A music video for the Celine Dion song
For Ashes.
which I highly recommend you go and watch because I went to Vegas. David Leitch was so excited because he never shot a music video before. He went and he directed the music video of Celine singing on her stage at the Coliseum in Vegas and Deadpool dancing all around her.
Oh my
and then
God.
a little,
God.
then they have a little talk at the end, which is really
Wow.
I gotta watch that.
Totally, go check that out on YouTube.
I don't know how far detailed you're going to get into all of your fabulous research you provided us, which is great. But this one I didn't know, and I mean I don't know a lot about the franchise, so I'm just learning some things. But this idea, I mean this thing
If
here,
it's in Wikipedia, it must be true, Sean.
oh, well, I'm
Yeah.
sure. A stunt woman died doubling for Domino, her first film. I mean, that's crazy. Man,
that real?
I'm not. I mean, sorry to bring it down, but I just happened to be scrolling through the notes here, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Holy crap!"
She really wanted to do it, and some stunt people were like, "I'm not sure you have the experience or whatever." But then she did it, and then she died, and then it's a whole big thing.
Oh my God, that's
Didn't know
so
that. That's
sad.
tragic.
Oh, that's so sad. I mean, I think anytime, all this stuff is happening with the Rust movie, and and anytime someone dies making a movie, I think to myself, this just should never happen.
Doesn't need to happen.
This is not. This is a world of make believe.
Yeah.
And if we're pushing it that far, I mean, it brings up a good question. Like, there's explosions and there's all this stuff happening, and they try to plan for this, and they have professionals that come on and try, but things happen, and you don't know because something can go wrong that you don't even know that's going to go wrong,
Yeah.
right? Which is of course filmmaking anyway, right? It bothers me. I mean, and man, may she rest in peace. That's just such a bummer. I mean, she was a part of it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And so,
I host a panel at Comic-Con and WonderCon
Yep.
once a year at San Diego Comic-Con and WonderCon in Anaheim every year.
That's coming
on
up, right?
stunts, yes.
Yeah.
On stunts. And we have had this discussion many times about the pros and cons of whether there should or should not be an Oscar for Best Stunt. And the argument against it is we don't need to do stunts now. We can be a lot safer than we've ever done. And once we pull out that Oscar, we're going to have people starting to do crazier and crazier and crazier stuff. It's reality television now taking over. And we have, we've got someone like Johnny Knoxville who says, no, set off the explosion. I'll be right next to the bomb.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing. How dangerous do we let it get in pursuit of now a gold statue?
yeah.
So I hear that.
What's your take on the replacement of certain practical things that used to happen on set being taken over by CG? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I can tell you I watched Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, and I saw it with a Q&A with the director, and he confirmed what I thought I saw on the screen, all practical. The real helicopter, going down the street in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And it pays off for the look of the movie, so I love it if you can do it safely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say go practical all the time because you immediately go, this didn't really happen.
Right.
But there's a danger to the helicopter, even though they're cracking jokes and Axel Foley's like, "Wah!"
Yeah.
But there's like some real weight to the scene when you can do it all practically.
I think Rust does not fit into the category that I just talked about.
Yeah.
I think Rust was an anomaly and a tragic, horrific mistake, which if people had just done their jobs, never would have happened.
Yes.
That's not a lack of training. That's not, we don't know what could go wrong.
Yeah.
Because there should absolutely never be a bullet in a gun on set.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Any stunt person I've ever spoken to says that. Any armorer I've ever spoken to says the same thing. It absolutely should not happen. That is your job. I mean, so I don't think that falls into it. Now, when it comes to explosions, because, let's go back as far as the Twilight Zone movie,
right.
Stuntman dying because of the explosion going off at the wrong time. That's an accident.
And
that's tragic.
the young actress.
Yeah, that's absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
And I do hear that argument. I will say I think the best effects, and I've always said this, is if you do something that I can't tell how you made it, I'm probably going to believe it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do a small explosion with CGI behind it, so it looks like a massive explosion. I'm going to recognize that as that looked real to me.
Right.
And when it's done right. So I think there's a fine line. I don't think you need to go to that crazy extreme.
The other, to your point, the other thing that reality always brings to
Stakes.
a performance
Yeah.
is real, honest reactions. I just happened to see a video that came up on my feed about the making of Stripes. And when they did the hair cutting scene, they did not tell the actors they were going to be shaving their heads. And those are real army hairdresser, whatever, hair cutter guys doing it. And so all of those, as the cameras go,
right.
dollying down, watching all of them, those are all real reactions. And the thing of John Candy holding his hair, he really did that, and he was really upset about it. But that's a great example of you're not asking the actor to fake it. Now I would argue that it's okay to ask an actor to fake it. That should be their job, and they should be capable to fake it and make it look real.
Right.
But I think there's also a value in terms of when you're directing something and you're creating a piece of media that you're directing a film and you want this to feel like a real moment. You want the audience to be invested. You want the stakes to be high and all of this stuff. And you're like, if there is squibs and explosion and things happening around, they're gonna duck down and they're gonna have that real reaction. That's different than, okay, we're gonna put all that in CG later, and I think they're doubling down on that more and more. The stuff with the volume that that Disney's doing and all this stuff. If you look at what they're doing with like the Star Wars shows, they're building like most of the ship basically, and not only are they building most of it, they're making it so that the actor can go in the cockpit and the controls actually move the thing on a gimbal. And then they're going into light speed, and there's actually lights on them, and they're like, as an actor, you're like, how can you not have a little bit of a like, damn right.
This is real.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is,
it's
tough to figure out how far you push it.
Oh, definitely.
How far do you push the safety?
Right.
How far do you, to make your movie, to make your series, to whatever, right? And I think more and more we're in a space where we're trying to make it look so real. We talked about this before, like, you watch some of these older James Bond movies and they're silly now, especially now. You look back, but like when we were kids, you still had fun with it. You're like, oh yeah, James Bond's got to get out of there, and I don't know. There was a sense of fun with it, and I don't know. I just think it's a different style. It's a different thing, but I don't know. It's an important question, I think, for us to keep asking, and I think that's really interesting about the Academy Award thing, because I had never given that any thought. Like, well, if you give them an Academy Award, then are people going to be like, I'm totally fine with the explosion? I can do a fire burn in the middle. You're like, seriously,
I'll do a 60-second fire burn.
No, you won't, because you'll be done.
Right. I think the solution is more along the lines of what you just said. You have to keep asking the question. Do we need this right here?
Yeah.
Do we need this? What don't we need?
Right.
The Rock said from now on, every production he's on, rubber guns. That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. He said we'll do CGI for bullets and everything, and even the.
That's interesting. I didn't know he said that.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
That was after Rust. We'll see if that sticks. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I go back to also a friend of mine, Adam Hart, stuntman. Look him up. He's awesome. actually won Best Stunt of the Year at the Taurus Awards. That's the Stuntman Awards. This was the stunt for the year. It's in Live Free, Die Hard. Oh, wow. And I actually didn't know it was him until one time I had him on the panel, and somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh my God, you did that? I remember being in the theater.
Oh, wow.
And of that movie, this is literally the thing I remember most. At one point, Bruce Willis kicks a guy on a rolling chair. Camera is down the stairs. Guy is rolling towards the stairs, goes down the stairs, and the guy rolls backwards all the way down the stairs. I remember at the time,
I remember that.
In the movie theater going, holy crap. That is one of the craziest stunts I've ever seen. Had no idea it was Adam. And then to talk to him about it, and I was just like, man, oh man. And he did something like, I think he said 3 takes.
Oh my God.
Just absolutely insane. But once again, that can come down to the skill of the guy as opposed to, an explosion going off.
Right.
It's going to be life-threatening. Is it dangerous? Yes, it's very
Right.
dangerous. Is it hard to get that in one shot? Absolutely it is.
Right.
And once you do it, do you want to be the guy who hears the director say, all right, great, let's do it 3 more times?
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. But it was incredible, and it came down to his ability to be able to do that. Now,
Wow.
girl dying, they thought she wasn't necessarily, didn't have the experience to pull it off. It sounds like maybe they were right. So I don't know.
But she was like trying to convince him I have the skin tone that's more like Zazie Beetz than this other person. So yeah, she fought to do it, and then it didn't work.
I mean, it's interesting too. It's an interesting argument as we try to push the envelope in our industry to, be more inclusive and to be more diversive and to get more people into roles that matter, that are bigger and things like that. But then you're also bringing in people to do stunts for them, and that same situation happens, right, where people aren't as experienced, and it gets, so this is a whole new level of things that need to be trained and made sure that everybody's safe. You know?
Speaking of Comic-Con, Thursday night, the ultimate Deadpool and Wolverine celebration of life, Hall H.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Exactly opposite my panel.
Yeah, did you hear?
Which means not only will there be less people at my panel, I won't be at the Deadpool Wolverine.
You may not have been anyway, because the bad news about it is you had to sign up in advance.
Oh, really?
So there's no getting there and getting in line like you do.
Yeah.
So it's already sold out.
For those of you that don't know, in order to get into Hall H, which holds 7,000 people, 5,000, 7,000, somewhere in there, 5,000 to 7,000 people.
I think 6.
You literally,
falls right in there.
Yeah. You literally have to get in line for Hall H events day before, night before, and you stay there all night long. You stay there all night long. It is.
Are you serious?
It is old school.
But Marvel
style.
doesn't always show up, so they've been pushing their stuff to D23 Expo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to have them there, and they say Jackman, Reynolds, Levy will all be there. Feige will be there, and it'll be rated R. But they don't know what else is going to happen.
Wow.
Feige is expected to announce all the slates of films that are coming out.
That'd be nice.
The Marvel, the new slates.
New Kang, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll probably get confirmation on Secret Wars. Depending on when you're watching this, supposedly.
Oh, you've seen the news that the Russo brothers
supposedly are coming back to do Secret Wars.
They only made the greatest Infinity War saga movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they should totally do that.
Yeah.
But there's a Secret Wars comic in one of the shots of Deadpool and Wolverine. Have you seen that?
What?
Just being, just
on the table?
again.
Yeah.
It's on the floor in a fight scene.
I want to go back and read Secret Wars. I mean, I don't really remember that story.
It's going to be a lot. I think you need the Russos to pull it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting with comic book movies in general. X-Men, to me, was so exciting because it really, it was like The Dark Knight. It was like, Batman Begins. It was that we're going to ground this in some truth.
Right.
We're going to ground
reality.
this, the whole, basically the metaphor for racism and all the stuff like I mean, it
bigotry.
And bigotry and all this it's amazing how they were able to put that in there, and you're like, yes, this is great. This is good storytelling. I care about it. I feel something for this. This is honest. It's good. And then as CG has gotten better, as all of this has progressed, now we've got bigger and bigger battles and bigger things happening up all the way up to Endgame and stuff. And I know a lot of people love those movies, and I love those movies too. But even Endgame for me it's just on the edge of it's almost DC in a moment.
What?
I know.
100% disagree with you.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Go watch Wolverine Origins.
I know I'm walking into the.
I mean, yeah, we should expect this response from a guy who loves
I know I'm walking into the den of fire, but I'm just
the
saying.
den of fire that is everybody else in the world.
I'm just saying the end fight. I'm not saying the whole movie. I'm just
love
saying
the end fight.
I'm
Portals?
just saying the end. Yeah, I mean the portals and just the amount of CG happening, and it just gets it gets so big. That this has always been my problem, like with the DC movies, where the fight scenes get so big, there's so much mass amount of destruction. If you're saying this is a real moment that we're supposed to believe these stakes, that it's like that's a lot.
I'm gonna define the difference for you.
I love Paul's look on his face is absolutely
right now,
astounding.
I grew up riding horses. I've been around a lot of rodeos. Right now, I literally see the bull over here getting ready to be let into the arena. Like, I'm keeping him behind the gate.
Mind you, I may be saying this for entertainment.
But before I let the bull over here out of the pen to start chasing down the clown.
Like when
You know what? I'll take that as a compliment.
When you're supposedly improvising a character for entertainment purposes, you
Right.
can improvise any entertaining character that you want.
It doesn't have to
Or
be
this.
what you believe. No, there's a
rough.
huge
That's
difference
rough.
between the DC endings and Endgame endings.
I agree.
And I'm going to tell you what the huge difference is that we talked about this before. If Wonder Woman had ended immediately after Steve Rogers died,
Trevor.
great. Trevor.
You're combining it now.
Yeah. Steve.
If Steve Rogers and Trevor had a baby, wait,
After Steve Trevor died,
it'd be Green Lantern.
emotional connection, right? Instead, we don't end it there. Explosion, explosion, explosion. I'm no longer connected to what's going on.
Yeah.
I no
Yeah.
longer care what's
Yeah.
going on.
And
Yeah.
that's
In-
oh, go ahead.
In the middle of all of the grandioseness that's taking place in the CGI, the rain fire, and the we have T'Challa grabbing the football, so to speak, and doing a run, and we love him. And we're seeing him. We're seeing Black Panther take the gauntlet and run, and he's getting away and getting away
right.
and getting away. We have the moment with preceding that where Tom Holland, our newest guy, who finally came back, like we finally got the kid back, is helping out, and he's joined the fight. We've got the lady saying she'll have help. Like they're just. I'm tearing up. There's so many great
I
moments.
can see you're getting very
Tony Stark's
emotional.
sacrifice.
All right, among all of this, as opposed to just
Two gods have to fight because
Right,
in the
two
script. Yeah.
They weren't even there. Our actors weren't. It's just CGI. They're not even doing voiceover. It's AI just taking over at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
When you're talking about when people say superhero
Go
movies,
ahead.
when people say superhero movies end in CGI, they mean DC. Look at Doctor Strange. All he did was come back and annoy the guy. Dormammu have come to bargain until the guy's like, enough of you.
Okay,
we're
but
done.
except for Multiverse of Madness, which was just chaos of CG to me. I mean, there was so much. I did not love that movie.
It was, but if you didn't buy into Wanda's tragic storyline by then yeah,
Right.
you weren't gonna.
I did buy into Wanda. I love Wanda, and I love all that, but Multiverse of Madness.
But
not my
Doctor
favorite.
Strange, the first one, that is a great point. What is he talking to? He's talking to nothing. There's nothing there when he's shooting it. It's
Yeah.
him on a stage all by himself, and it's nothing but CG around him. But once again, we're not having a CGI doctor. It is just the doctor. I've come to bargain. And it's the emotional connection we get of as he comes out each time. I've come to bargain. I've come like you see him getting like
He does get
we're
exacerbated.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
he does get
100%,
exacerbated.
And we connect to that as opposed to
Look, here's the.
If you didn't follow the movies well enough to where Cap on your left, a 10-year callback didn't rip you
Right.
apart, man.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not saying I don't love those movies, and I'm not saying that I don't agree with you guys. I'm just saying, got a little CG for me.
Of course
But,
it did. because-
I think you bring up the best point, which is, comparatively, if in Wonder Woman there's this great moment with Steve Rogers.
We got Monica Baccarin. We got Steve Rogers in love with Wonder Woman.
Anyway, if there's this great moment.
we'll get back to the Deadstroke movie
We will,
in just
we
a
will.
second, everybody.
But if there's this great moment, heartfelt moment, right, and then we go back into CG and we don't know where we are, that's terrible. But to your guys' point, and I do think this is a great point, we really basically end with Stark dying. right? Like
Yes.
that's the closing
Well,
moment,
they use
and
the
that
CGI
brings
as a tool.
That brings it back
Yes.
to something that you can relate to, that it becomes relatable, right? And I think that's really the point. That even within all of this chaos and all of this CG and all of this coolness of everything, there has to be something relatable
100%.
on a humanistic level. This
Right.
is why Deadpool is so great, because it is relatable.
Right. First a love story, then a story about a family.
Yeah.
What
well,
will the third one be?
Friendship.
Ah,
I bet
like
it
that.
is. I'm putting my money on friendship.
friendship.
We-
I hope
we
they sing
essentially
that
get
song together.
We get a buddy cop. It's gonna be about friendship. I know nothing. I'm just theorizing.
Also, I
it's
need
gonna
to
be
say-
about friendship, and at one point we're gonna hear bum ba bum ba bum bum ba bum ba bum. Kids, that
That's
is
an
a theme
Odd
song
Couple.
from a television series called Odd Couple, which was before Stripes. Never mind.
80s.
But think about the end of Wonder Woman. Also, you have to have a good script. Like, if the Russos come back, they kind of also need to bring back Marcus and McFeely
Oh yeah,
to work on the scripts.
100%.
But if they, because like at the end of Wonder Woman, she kills the god of war, right?
Yeah.
At the end of World War I. So is there never a World War II? Like, it's just things that don't.
Yeah.
These are not good scripts.
Right.
But Marvel always brings the good scripts, and
I agree.
Thought they did that with now. Also, you can't do the portals without CGI. You're imagining a sequence that you cannot do without it.
Yeah,
like we're
puppetry.
talking, if you're doing a car
Watch.
chase,
Oh yeah.
if you're doing a car chase in Fast and Furious, and you could do it with cars, but instead do it with CGI, and then you watch it and go, "This is a BS scene." That's to the detriment of the film. But you just can't do portals. without the
Look.
CGI.
I totally agree. I totally agree with all those points. I that was really fun.
Who doesn't give up? Steve Rogers, right? Not Steve Trevor.
He could do this all
Doesn't
day.
give up ever in the face of he's going to lose. He will not give up. Ah, such a good movie.
It's okay.
We've worn
I'm
the
joking.
bull out. We can
I'm
put it back
joking.
in the pen.
I'm
How dare you.
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I literally just said that to piss him off.
Well, speaking of Chris Evans, let's go back to Deadpool.
Okay.
Deadpool 2. Because I want to talk about some more cut stuff.
Okay.
A joke about the Disney 20th Century Fox merger. Too soon.
Oh,
Exploring.
that was cut?
There was a joke.
Oh, there was a
about
joke. That's too bad. I think that would have been good.
that. Yeah. Well, they're making up for it in the
Right.
trailer for
Yeah.
the Deadpool
Yeah.
and Wolverine. Like exploring the copycat persona that Vanessa. There's a character, if you remember, that Vanessa becomes, who
Yes.
can like cellularly recreate people.
Yeah.
In the comics, but they never yet had Vanessa become that
interesting.
persona.
Yeah,
They thought
yeah.
about it again. She wanted to do it apparently, but they were like, we couldn't do it. Chris Evans auditioned when they're auditioning X-Force people to come in as the Human Torch. That would have been great.
Oh my God, that would have been so great. And by the way, I stand by those movies. I like the Fantastic Four
Yeah,
films.
they weren't getting the green light on Fantastic Four yet to cross over as.
Oh,
the
really?
X-Men. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But that's weird,
but-
though.
and
But
then-
that is a Marvel. I don't. Why is that?
That's
Well, of course, Marvel for years, X-Men and Fantastic Four were part of Fox.
Right.
Now it's all in because Fox was purchased by Disney. It's now all under one banner. So that's why when he's Marvel Jesus in Deadpool and Wolverine,
yeah.
the floodgates are open for what
we
you
could
could see.
We could see.
You could see every character you could possibly
Yeah,
imagine.
every
Much like
incarnation.
when the Fantastic Four showed up in Doctor Strange
Right.
in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
It's because it's now under the same
Right,
banner and you can
right,
do that.
right.
We may see David Hasselhoff as
Nick Fury?
yeah.
That's right,
Nick
because
Fury.
he did was like a movie in the.
He did
Yeah.
a movie in one of the movie versions in the 90s.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh my gosh. that is
great.
crazy.
If he
deep.
wants people to cheer for him again, that's how you do it. Because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was probably the last time people went nuts for a David Hasselhoff sighting. But the joke they overlooked would have been a deep cut. They realized it afterwards. Oh, we could have done a Yentl joke involving Josh Brolin, whose father is married to Barbara Streisand, but they didn't get to that.
I would have loved
That
that.
would've been deep
I
cut.
think that would have been
Deep, deep,
great.
deep.
But speaking
Yeah.
of which, do you guys watch X-Men 97?
No.
I started watching it. I just watched. I had watched the X-Men show back in the '90s, which is what this is, of course.
Yeah.
Is
The
it
next year.
continuing it or?
Yeah, that ended 96.
Yeah.
this is
So I
97.
loved that back then. So I did start watching it, and yeah, it's great. I mean, I haven't watched much of it, but I've watched some
It's
of it.
I mean, talk about scripting. It's some of the best plotting for X-Men you've seen in a long
Yeah.
time. Where
I've heard.
Cyclops is Cable's father, and they talked about maybe doing that in this movie, but they said let's not deal with who his father.
That's
Right,
interesting.
because, yeah.
Okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
With all of the CG talk and all of the which is basically animation, right? And then we're X-Men '97 is really all. I would say traditional style animation looking, even though I'm sure they did it in the computer, but it's traditional style looking. Do we need live action all the time in terms of great storytelling? And
No.
I don't think we do.
DC
I
should do without it.
Yes.
DC's animation is great.
Yeah.
Only their animation team should be doing
Well,
stuff.
I mean, that's an interesting question, because I know this new Superman movie is starting to get a little bit of traction in terms of, they're letting out a few little things here and there.
And your desire to see a new guy. There it is.
Well, and
David
honestly,
Cornslow.
I mean, I'm seeing it and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think one of my favorite superheroes is Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. My kids love Spider-Man. Like, I think he's a great character. I think that with the newer Marvel stuff, they did one of the smartest things with that character that you could possibly do, and that is when they reintroduced him in Homecoming, or was it Homecoming, or was it Captain America that we saw him first?
Civil War.
Civil War.
He
Right.
popped up. He was
when
introduced.
he popped up in that. There's no origin story.
Thank God.
There's no, because we all know it, and we've all seen it so many times
Right.
now. It's a good story. I guess I could watch it again, but I don't need to. I'm good.
100%.
And they just jump right in, and I think that is really, really smart. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with that.
I just
other
want
than
people
just to say,
like him. No one liked Henry Cavill's Superman. No, the people hated him. They thought he was an alien. The bad guys hated him. The good guys hated him.
Right.
Like, nobody
Yeah,
liked him.
yeah.
Enough. Let's have Superman beat freaking Superman. I
Right.
watched Superman, the movie, recently on a live-to-film thing at Disney Concert Hall, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just make
Yeah.
Superman be the hero he's supposed to be. Truth,
Right.
justice, the American way. I'm a friend. Enough with all this. Like,
Yep.
we hate him.
The
The army has to
original-
arrest him.
Even in approaching the bad guy, General, would you like to step outside? That's what he says.
yes.
Would you like to step outside, or would you care to step outside?
Yeah.
He's saying he's being a perfect gentleman the
Yes.
whole time. That's code
Yes.
for I'm going to beat your fucking ass. But that's not what he says, because he's
Yeah.
a gentleman. He's
Yes.
a Boy Scout.
Yes. I mean, I think that's the stuff that definitely that character is missing. Now, we're jumping around, but of course that's what we do on this show. And because you know what, it's all superheroes, it's all fun, it doesn't matter. The point is, do we want to see that film? And then comparatively, we've got, this is the third in a franchise.
I hope-
and I want to see this so bad. So, I mean, comparatively, it's just, I don't know. It bums me out because, of course, I grew up with Superman. Superman was one of my favorites as a kid. I loved Superman. And,
Well, Batman and Superman are like the gold standard for superheroes.
Yes.
Right.
So when they became movies, it was like, oh wow, this is amazing. So, but then they kind of all the franchises went south outside of Dark Knight, and then Marvel came along with Iron Man and Captain America.
Right.
People
And
were like,
Guardians of the Galaxy, sea level,
Yeah.
not even B level, sea level.
Well, I'll tell you this, and this will make you mad again. You're welcome. When I went to go see the first,
I don't care for movies. That's just a good time to say
Here's
it.
what I really like is I like books about, mechanical things.
when I went to go see the first Avengers film, I remember thinking, this is gonna suck.
Whoa.
This is going.
Had you seen the
to
previous movies?
I had seen some.
Well, okay,
And so I was, but up until then, because Avengers was a groundbreaking film, and I'll tell you why. Because up until then, anytime there was a superhero film that had multiple heroes or villains, that film turned into a big pile of crap.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And so I went into this movie thinking,
mostly DC. Once again, we're going to go back
Okay.
to
they
what were the
couldn't
main
handle.
movies.
They couldn't handle Batman Forever. Well, how about 12 characters?
Yeah.
right, yeah.
In Infinity War or whatever.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. And so when I saw it, I was like, "This is not going to be good." And then I walked out of the theater being completely blown away.
Blown away how
I-
everyone had their moment.
And going back, tying this back into some other things we were talking about, a lot of that I think has to do with CG. I think it has to do with the how CG has gotten better. Because of course, you can't do those battle scenes in New York. You're not going to blow up. You know what I mean? Like you got to have CG, right? Because the portals, you can't have real portals. Never mind. Anyway.
Guy loves CG over here.
Anyway, my point is there is something to be said about that, right? And that when it's done right, it makes a difference.
Your point is you loved Avengers. Shame they ruined it with Endgame. Okay, copy that.
No, well, I mean, I did love Endgame as well, but I just, again, does the CG need to always be as big? And for that one, yes, it did, I guess. That's true. It's motivated. So, yeah.
If you use it as a tool to add to the story, yes, the minute you make your CGI the entire subject of what's happening on screen, that's when you lose us.
That's when you lose everybody. Yeah. All right. That was good, everybody. I mean, I feel that was...
All right, let's wrap up what we're talking about with this. The aftermath of Deadpool 2, Once Upon a Deadpool, which I never saw, but apparently is the PG-13 rated version of... Have you seen this?
No.
Okay, so they do a Princess Bride, like, they kidnap Fred Savage.
Oh,
and they,
I remember
and they force the story
of
Deadpool on him with most of the F words cut.
Right, and it's full-grown Fred Savage.
Correct. It's current.
Oh my God, that's
It's
so
not
funny.
him as a child.
Oh, I have to see that.
Yes,
oh, I
that's
have
right.
to see
But
that.
apparently it's not great, though, because, I mean, I think to take the raunch out of Deadpool, you take half of what makes him hilarious.
Yep.
But 7 didn't stop, the regular non-toned-down version, 785 million worldwide gross. It's still so impressive that the other one making roughly that in February, because by now we moved to a May 18th release.
Yeah.
This is a summer movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no surprise it made that much. Number 1 movie that year, Infinity War. Number 2, Black Panther. Marvel killing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just above it, Venom. I don't understand how the Venom movies do so well.
People
but they
love
continue
the
to do
Venom
so well.
movies. My sister-in-law, we were in Palm Desert on vacation. My sister-in-law was watching one of the Venom movies, just like sitting hanging. I'm like, I've never even seen those movies. She's like, yeah, I'm just watching it. I'm like, what?
I saw the first one, and I went, I'm good.
Yeah.
84% on Rotten Tomatoes, if you like what Dead Vegetables have to say about movies. The first one at 85, so not much of a dip. So again, the box office, I brought this up about The Equalizer recently. Like every Equalizer movie with Denzel Washington cost blank amount of money. I think it was 40 to 50 million, made 100 million.
Right.
Oh.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Like the same amount to cost, the same amount made. Like it's the most consistent franchise. This one's pretty damn good, except they spent more in the second one, but still at 785 million.
Yeah.
You're making money on a $110 million investment. But the usual nonsense was used to promote the film, much like the stuff we were talking about at the top of the show. Deadpool was Bob Ross. You may remember that video where he's pretending to be Bob Ross.
Yes.
There's the Norman Rockwell painting where Cable's got the turkey and they're all at the table.
That's brilliant.
That's
brilliant.
Yeah. And they created a Twitter account for Peter, which I need to go see if that's still alive. I would love to read.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, this one right now, the big one is, and I'm late to the party on this, is Dogpool, which is the dog. There is a dog that is dressed as Deadpool, which Van City Reynolds is now. I don't know a lot
That's
about
brilliant.
it. I just know enough to see it, and I went, I'm not looking at this because, believe it or not, I'm trying to avoid spoilers for this film.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, because I really want to enjoy it.
Yeah. One thing I'm hoping we will experience in this that I didn't feel like we experienced with Frozen Empire. I recently started watching Ghostbusters Frozen Empire again, and when we did the Frozen Empire episode, all three of us were kind of, I think, maybe a little let down by that film. Didn't necessarily love it. Didn't hate it, but didn't love it. And so I started watching it again. I was actually on the plane to Colorado this time, and I was like, why was I hating on this film so much? I think I'm really enjoying myself right now. And it was just like, opening sequence and all this stuff. And I was like,
What you thought?
I saw it a second time, and I appreciated it more the second time around as well.
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe we should just plan to see Deadpool 3 twice that night, just to like get the crap out of the way. I don't know. It's like I feel like we get on this hype train and we're excited about it, and then
The bar gets set too high.
The bar gets set too high, and it lets you down a little bit.
Well, the greatest place one of the great places in the city right now is the Motion Picture Academy Museum.
Yeah.
They have a new theater there with great programming. They were showing 8.5, Fellini's 8.5. I'd never seen it. Apparently one of the greatest movies of all time,
Yeah.
so I go and check it out. Didn't care for it. But and I read Roger Ebert's
it's
review.
still
The
very
greatest
stylized. Yeah,
film
I
ever
get it.
made about filmmaking. I'm like, I don't know, I like Deadwood more than this. But anyway, that he did say in there something I've realized for a long time. A bad movie right away. It kind of, when you're watching, you're like, this is not a great movie. I don't need to see this again. But movies where you don't have that feeling, maybe give them a second chance.
Oh,
Interesting.
So and
that's good.
and I liked. I didn't hate Deadpool 2, but I liked it. But I probably should have seen it again before now.
Well, when I went to watch it the second time, I had purchased it already. Like it was in
I
my
have it too.
it was in my iTunes account. So obviously I liked it enough. And, well, I have zero recollection of this. I obviously liked it enough that I purchased it. So yeah. But this was literally the second time I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm glad we saw it again. We don't have a Deadpool 3 because that's one thing that actually fell into the canceled bin at the Fox Disney merger. Disney Deadpool 3, an X-Force movie, and all the other X-Men films got a freeze put on them until they figured out everything.
Gotcha.
And then COVID, and now that's why we have this huge
That's
delay.
why this is Deadpool, not Deadpool 3, but Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Very interesting.
Wow.
They played a super duper cut at Comic-Con 2018, so that was an extended version, but I didn't hear great things about it. Like, that's always my thing.
Yeah.
Hey, this movie comes with deleted scenes. Well, there's a reason. They were
Yeah.
deleted. If it's a good movie, if it's a bad movie, then, like maybe make it better. But most of the time, if it's a movie you like, don't bother with the extra
Most
scenes.
filmmakers will say there are deleted scenes for a reason.
Yeah.
And then there's Zack Snyder.
I never saw the extended Justice League. Is it good?
There
It's
is a
better.
director's
It's
cut
better.
that is better.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue it's a good film. It is better. Nothing can change Martha. Which was great.
Great
in
call.
this.
Oh my God! Yes.
Well,
Yes.
we found out his mother's name was Martha, and there's. It was just.
Wait, your mom's the same name too? Are we brothers?
Oof.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. That's all I got. Except the only award it won was Golden Trailer Awards. And it didn't as much as they were pushing for
That may as
song
well be the
nomination.
Golden Shower Awards.
Yeah, but look at what they do with their promotional campaign, though. So
Yeah, this is true. They brought it on
they
themselves.
did win it.
Yeah.
But that wraps Deadpool 2. Any other thoughts?
I'm so excited that I got to see. I'm excited that we did this because
Yes.
I did. If we hadn't done this, I don't think I would be that excited to be like, I'll see it maybe sometime. And now I'm so excited. I'm ready to see it. And I feel I do want to see Logan before I see Deadpool 3. Not that I think there's going to be references for that, but I want to start because I feel like everything
Probably will be.
Oh yeah, maybe.
mean,
I just feel like
there's
there's so many things that get tied together and like even jokes and
Have you
bits.
not seen Logan?
I've not seen Logan.
We talked about this last
Yeah.
time.
You did?
And
Oh,
I
I
told him,
forgot.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite Marvel films of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of my
So
favorite
I-
superhero films of all time.
I'm super excited about that. Yeah. And by the way, in the Patrick Stewart book, he talks about that as well, and that he didn't want to come back for that. And then, I think after reading the script and stuff and realizing what it was going to be, he was like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
I mean, his storyline in that is really interesting, and I can see Patrick Stewart being like, "Oh, this is what he's dealing with."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes him more relatable, more human, if you will. Had we not done this, I don't know that I would have rewatched Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2.
That's
Sure
half
as
the
fuck
reason.
wouldn't have watched X-Men
Yeah,
Origins of
Sean.
Wolverine.
It's not.
Did you
that
notice at the
bad.
top we
it's
were supposed
not
to say,
that bad.
but not
Yes,
not X-Men
yeah.
together, and
He
he
didn't
didn't
say
say
it.
it.
Now
No,
we
he didn't
know.
say it. Now we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm here to defend.
'Cause he doesn't read my scripts, and he is here to defend.
So no, I am very I am excited, more excited for this film simply because we watched all of these movies leading up to it.
And I know you were had maybe off put a little bit by his playing with time travel, but he's going to be thrust headlong into the multiverse
yeah,
and
no.
be the savior of it. So
Well,
If you were upset with that,
we've leaned in a
Buckle
little
in.
bit to how
I
much.
will say this. This is one of the brilliant things that Marvel does is the tying of everything together. And because I did watch Loki and I the TVA stuff and all that, I do think that they have, out of any franchise, they've at least explored concepts of time travel.
Right.
And I like it's not just, oh, we're going to do this and everything's
Right.
going to be, it's like, no, we're going to do this, and that really screws up. I mean, they basically do the Back to the Future thing, like
Right.
we can't do this, it's going to screw that up, we're going to create a, but which is fine. But they really explore it. They don't just like, here's this and that's it.
Right.
Like because you always bring up, oh God, what's the movie Black Adam? You always bring up Black Adam as like the hated, like the army. If they do, you always do that bit, which is
They're
and
making up as they go.
yeah, but it's a brilliant bit because it's true.
With
That's
Pierce
what
Brosnan.
happens with all. Right.
Pierce
yeah.
Brosnan made it into a superhero film.
Right. I mean, but that's what happens with, I think, when they're not really thinking through these storylines and really trying to give it that gravitas that it could have, right? Because you can still make a superhero film matter.
Yes.
Like Black Panther.
Yeah.
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 Well, I think that's it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
My name's Paul Preston with themovieguys.net.
I'm Sean Blodgett with Creative Motion Entertainment.
And I'm Justin Bowler of The World.
We will see you on the other side of watching Deadpool and Wolverine. We can't wait. We're going on Sunday. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Awesome. See you soon.